Shalom, hi, this is Pastor Linda Nguyen, and this is the third portion of the introduction to As the Torah Rolls, and it's an introduction to the Torah for people who don't know the Torah, whether you be Catholic, Christian, Buddhist, Taoist, whatever you are, you did not know the Torah or the books given to us by God, who created the earth, okay? This is an educational site for beginners in Torah. The Torah is the first 5 scrolls or books, also known as the Pentateuch, and Old Testament of the written Bible of today. Torah is the foundation of the rest of the Bible and the rest of the books that were written afterwards. Okay, and it's also, excuse me, the foundation of the oral law also. These are the only scrolls before we had a Bible, which God told Moses to write. It is the word of God, who is called Adonai, and sometimes called Elohim, or Yud-He-Vav-He, or I am that I am. But he has other names, okay. And this is for people who have come out of the Christian church or the Catholic church or some other church. And Penta means 5, stands for 5, stands for the Pentateuch. Remember I said the Pentateuch was the Torah. And these 5 books were written by Moses with a few additions by other scribes after Moses' death. It can be called the Book of Moses, but it is misleading to call it the Book of Moses because then that leaves out God, who dictated the Book of Moses to Moses, or the first 5 books, the Torah. Okay, these are maps of the Middle East area, showing the area on the left during the time that the Torah would have been written. You can see Egypt there and Canaan, where they were going to, up on the left upper corner there. Okay, in the right is Israel as it is right now. That does not show all the land that was promised to Israel in the Bible. The boundaries are a little bit different than what's up here. But we'll probably discuss these as we read through the Torah. The first book of the Torah is Genesis in English, but also Bereshit in Hebrew, meaning in the beginning. What's included is the history of the beginnings of the origins of creation and all the elements, the measurements, the days, the months, the years, the genus of the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, and man, ownership, moral laws, instructions, and covenants, genealogies and history, both blessed and cursed, salvation and redemptive plan of the Father through his Son, Mashiach, Messiah, Yeshua. From it doesn't state it as so, but you will see the redemption plan being rolled out from the foundations, okay? From Adam in Eden to Joseph in Egypt. God's desire for a relationship with man and a chosen people he could call his own, a people who would love him. The next book in the Torah is the Exodus, Shemot, and it means names. There's 2 distinct portions: the exile in Egypt until delivery from slavery, the beginning of moral and civil laws, along with priesthood by the strength of Yud-He-Vav-He, to be a light to the nations. The actual deliverance from Egypt, as well as the promise of deliverance from spiritual strongholds, such as sin and death, the typology and proof of God's love and redemption plans as established. Now, we do celebrate the Passover every year, but we're not celebrating or talking evil about the actual place of Egypt. When we refer to Egypt, it is a typology, meaning a place of constriction, a place where you could not worship God freely, a place of spiritual darkness, okay, or unbelief even. So we're coming from unbelief into belief. We're coming from darkness into light. We're coming from not knowing to knowing. Okay, when you finish with the Torah this year, it takes us a year, you will know, okay, and have proof of God's love and his plans for us. His plans to establish a covenant relationship with man and a people who would love and worship God, Elohim, and set up earthly worship and atonement to be holy and set apart. The identity of Yud-He-Vav-He's people in covenant, okay? Meaning it's not just the Jews or the 12 tribes, but it is those who come to him, who come to believe after hearing his word, and you want to covenant with him, then you are his people, and you are in covenant with him. And I'll talk about how to covenant with him in the future. Okay? The next book is Leviticus, also called in Hebrew, Vayikra, and he called. This book is given the English nickname of the Book of the Law, the Mosaic Law, but in Hebrew it refers to the Levites. It is historical. It reinforces God's plans and desires for all of man. It focuses on laws and not beliefs because, as you know, beliefs can change from one day to the next and from one generation to the next. But laws are pretty firm and pretty stable, pretty black and white. It establishes tabernacle instruments and worship in which all furnitures are a typology of the Messiah, also called Yeshua, or some people call him Jesus, and he is our high priest. It sets up ceremonial laws and diversity of sacrificial order, also foreshadowing Christ as the final and perfect atonement for sin. This would be the Mashiach. Okay, and when I'm talking about it's a typology, I'm saying that all the instruments that they had within the tabernacle, okay, meaning the altar where the animals were slain for our sin, the menorah that was lit and kept lit, the showbread. There were 12 showbreads, one for each tribe. Also, there was the Holy of Holies. So each of this is a type and a foreshadow and has a meaning in referring. And also Moses, when he made these furnishings and stuff, they were modeled after the temple that God has within heaven, okay, in the celestial kingdom. And it is a foreshadow of our relationship with the Messiah, our high priest, to be separate and to be holy. He calls us to be holy. To be unholy is detrimental to our spiritual man and to our eternal soul. Okay? And that is why he is asking us to separate and to be holy, to have a pure heart, a pure spirit, and a pure soul that will inherit everything. Okay, the next book is Numbers, Bamidbar, meaning in the desert. It is about the historical wilderness and the journey from Mount Sinai to the entrance of the Promised Land. As the book implies, it is also the book of numberings, okay, especially of the people of God and the tribes of Israel. And they took a census in this book, okay? So that's why they probably called it the Book of Numbers. But it is in Hebrew called Bamidbar, and by Moses it would have been called Bamidbar in the desert, okay? It reflects that God has order and precision, and he's very precise about things. Nothing is chaotic. Every step dealt with the evolution of going from being slaves to becoming free men, as each place that they settled in developed godly character and spiritual healing and development. There were lessons to be learned at every place they went. It covers a period of 38 years and 3 months, a period where the original generation dies off until there were only the young generation taught in the wilderness to go forward into the Promised Land. In short, going from oppression to going to possession. and Deuteronomy, it's the last book. Devarim, things or words. If that's the Hebrew word up there, Devarim. Ele ha-devarim, okay, that's Hebrew for these are the words. The English mistranslation out of the Greek is a copy of the law, but that's not really what this book is about. There are 3 main sermons in this book because Moses is fixing to die. So he's one last chance, warning the people not to serve other gods, and all the things that God wanted them to do when they go into the land. Moses summarizes the 40 years in the wilderness journey and summarizes the law. And in this book, you will see places that they were that you may not see in the other books, but the journey is all summarized in this book. And that they are to serve one God and be faithful to that one God only. And should they fail, there is always mercy and repentance. The foundational Shema prayer is in Deuteronomy 6:4. It's also in Mark 12, 28 through 34. Deuteronomy 6:4 says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord." And it's said by the Jews all over the world. They say this every day. Shema means to hear, to trust, and obey. That's what Shema means. Hear, trust, obey. Sometimes we just hear O Israel in English, but it really means those 3 things. Okay? I have an exam because I had given this before back in 2015, this presentation. And we had a graduation, and we gave a graduation certificate to the students who studied the basics of Hebrew, the Hebrew Bible. Okay? And these are the exam questions. Now, you can answer them, write them down and answer them, and send me the answers. I will give you my email. Okay? And I can email you a certificate that you did this exam. Okay? In case you're going to Bible school, maybe this could be your extracurriculum. Okay? In the book of Genesis, what has God always wanted from us? And that's in the book of Genesis. That's a question. What has God always wanted from us? Okay? The God who created the heavens and the earth. In the book of Exodus, how did God demonstrate his love? What did he do for us as a people in the book of Exodus? Okay? And in the book of Leviticus, does God want us to make our own covenant by our own demands and worship him however we want, or like the other gods all around? Is that how he wants us to worship? Or does he tell us what he wants and why he's wanting it that way? Okay? In short, what is the book of Numbers about? Okay? And you can just say real briefly. Okay? You can give a real brief answer on this one. I'll accept any brief answer. And what is the foundational prayer in Deuteronomy? And that's what I was just telling you about, the Shema. Okay? And you can write it out here, and you can write out the other reference that I gave you. Okay, this is my email that you can send it to. And if you take all the exams in a year, I can send you a certificate of completion, okay, that's like a graduation certificate if you email to me. This is my email, Linda M. Nguyen, and the number 1@gmail.com. Do not forget to like this site and to subscribe to this site. Also, do not forget to share, because how will other people find out unless we share, unless they find out, unless they know? God bless you. Shalom. And we'll be back. If not sooner, then we'll for sure be back in a couple of weeks with Bereshit in the beginning. Okay? The first Torah portion, which is called a parsha. It means a part, a portion. Shalom.